Hello and welcome in. Good morning. My name is Marc Farzy. This is the Farzy Show. We're here at the Steven Singer Studios. Huge 76ers game tonight. Don't need to tell you fine sports fans that fact, but it is happening tonight. Paul Hudrick will join us coming up in just a couple of minutes to help us break down all that is Sixers, Hawks, Game 6. We have a Farzy in the field for you today. Today's question when I went out into the field, a very simple one. If you were to say something to the 76ers ahead of Game 6, if you were to speak to the 76ers, what would you tell them? And folks, I will just tell you this. I've done that bit, including radio time, including when I did it at NBC. I don't know, a billion, gazillion, kajunga times. I don't know. And I have never seen emotion pour over to the following day the way it did yesterday when I went out into the streets of Philadelphia to ask people that question. What would you say to Philadelphia? What would you say to the 76ers? And you know what Philadelphia said? A lot of them, you broke my heart. You let us down. How could you do that? That kind of thing. It's raw emotion from people, which I do really, really appreciate. But I felt the same way. And it was fun. After I got done filming that bit, I'd run some errands. And sure enough, the place I go to run errands, they're talking to me about the game. And the one guy didn't even realize this. Actually, it wasn't even a guy. It was an older woman who did not know that they lost. She just put it in the bank that the Sixers were at least going to the conference finals. And when I walked in talking to another employee, and we were talking about the loss, and she goes, "Wait a minute, they lost?" And I go, "Yeah." Then this big dude comes out and he goes, "Hold on, they lost?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they lost." And he goes, "But they were up," the whole thing. They're up 26 points. And it was like they were experiencing it for the first time while I was delivering the news of this historic collapse. And I had to be the person to tell them that they're the first team in 25 years to blow 18-point leads in back-to-back playoff games. That's how my day went yesterday. How was yours? Here's the deal here. The scene in Step Brothers? It's no scene. I'm a big Will Ferrell fan. And you know the scene in Step Brothers when John C. Reilly is looking at Will Ferrell and he's like, "Just sing." And Will Ferrell's like, I can't sing. He's like, no, just sing. And Will Ferrell's like, "I can't. I'm nervous. I can't sing." And he's like, "No, go ahead. You sing right now. Brennan, if we're going to open it up, a worldwide, international, whatever, worldwide thing, prestige worldwide." And then Will Ferrell goes, "Okay, my heart's beating so fast." And then he starts going, "Let's give them something to talk about." That whole scene. That's how I feel right now. And that's how I think the Sixers feel right now going into tonight's game. All right? You with me? You still following me through all that? All right. That's how I feel the 76ers feel going into tonight's game. They're so nervous. And me, as somebody who has nothing to do with the game, I'm nervous just to watch the game. You know what? You know why? You know what makes you nervous? You'll never feel like you're about to win. After the first collapse in Game 4, you go, there's no way Joel Embiid goes a whole quarter again without scoring. There's no way he goes a whole quarter or this whole half without going 0 for 12. It's not going to happen again. Oh, it was close in terms of the rest of the team. It was very close in Game 6, or excuse me, in Game 5 after Game 4. The endings were very similar, unfortunately. So now that it's happened twice, and now that you also know Doc Rivers' history, and I think most of you knew that at the time that Doc Rivers was hired, and he thought, not with this team. It could be with this team. I've never been more nervous about a game than I am right now about the 76ers tonight. And I probably when push comes to shove, I'm still going to bet them tonight. But right now, I was just thinking about it before I went to sleep last night. I thought about it first thing I thought of when I woke up in the morning, and I just can't help it. I mean, after you watch a team collapse the way they've collapsed over the last two games, how at any point of this game tonight until the final buzzer sounds, how are you going to feel at all confident they can pull out this win? And I'm amazed. We got the question out there right now, brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. Do you think the Sixers will win tonight? And I am gonna take a guess. By the time we check in with that in about 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes or so, by the time we check in with that, I'm going to go ahead and assume it's going to be about 65%, maybe 65%, yes. All right, and I even think that's me being optimistic, that you'll be optimistic about this game. Just based on the people I talked to yesterday, the whole slew of people I talked to throughout Philadelphia, not too many people are confident into tonight's game. But I'm definitely Brendan Huff right now. Let's give them something to talk about. Anyway, here's what I want to see tonight. Now that we put the emotion out, here's the X's and O's, folks. I want to see Ben Simmons down the block. I want to see Ben Simmons attacking the rim. And I don't mean like a full head of steam, like the only way he's used to attacking the rim. I want to see him getting after it tonight from start to finish. None of this second half adjustment stuff. No. Everybody's got to be clicking on all cylinders. This is game 6. This is your elimination game. You win, you go home. At least with the Jimmy Butler Sixers, you made it to a game 7. Even Andre Iguodala made it to a game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, as we pointed out yesterday. And I pointed out in my reaction show after the game 5 loss. Even those guys made it to game 7. This has got to be at least a game 7 here. And I'm not even settling for a game 7. You still have to win this series. Otherwise, you go into the offseason with all of us thinking, well, Ben's gone. Joel Embiid, it's another year. It's a year wasted of him. His best year as a professional has been wasted by the Sixers team. Oh, number 1 seed. And then after that, they lost to the Hawks. All right. At least when you lost to, let's say, the Raptors, you had a feeling that you might lose to a team that was going to win the NBA title. I mean, Kawhi Leonard was playing at such an unbelievably high level that everybody to a man compared him to Michael Jordan. And everybody was okay with it. That's the one thing that will stick out with me about that playoff run, is that everyone looked at Kawhi Leonard and said, wow, no one's really played like this in the playoffs since Michael Jordan. And everybody was fine with it. There was not one person that was like, oh, how dare you? Michael Jordan's up here and everybody else is down here. It was like, no, that's actually pretty accurate. He's playing just like Michael Jordan. Like, that was the reaction. That's how good that team was. That's how good Kawhi Leonard was. But this particular squad, you lose to the Hawks, who are going to go on to get bounced by the Bucks or bounced by the Nets. That was a crazy game we'll get into a little bit later in a Morning Rush segment. But they're either going to get bounced by one of those two teams. So to not have your shot in a season where Kyrie Irving isn't playing, or excuse me, in a postseason where Kyrie Irving probably isn't going to play against you, James Harden is still coming back from his injury. It's wide open. And for the Sixers to get knocked out in game 6 against the Hawks, team they beat, all 3 times this year? Inexcusable. Did I go back to emotion? I went back to emotion. Anyway, Ben Simmons on the block is what I want to see tonight. And I actually liked seeing this throughout the season. There was like a smattering of this throughout the year. Tobias Harris, who might just be gone mentally right now in terms of his approach to the rest of this series, I wouldn't mind seeing him bring up the ball a little bit and play that role of facilitator the way Ben Simmons has in the past, or Ben Simmons does. I wouldn't mind seeing that role shift over to Tobias Harris a little bit throughout this game. And just to allow Ben Simmons to go down on the block so he doesn't have to worry about lanes opening up for him all the time, and that's the only time he can be aggressive. Put him down on the block, use his power, use his strength, use his size to attack the rim and score from the post, not running start from the other team's foul line, where it seems like the only way you could be aggressive. No. Put him down on the block, get him going that way. And maybe that also spelled Joel Embiid a little bit, where you could get a little bit of that 2-man game going, similarly to what you had in game 3 of this series. That's ultimately what I'd love to see. Those are 2 things. I'd like to see Tobias Harris running the facilitator position a little bit, Ben Simmons down there on the block, and I just think you have to start Matisse Thybulle. At this point, you just have to be the best team. Put your best 5 on the floor and get it going from that point on. Furkan Korkmaz, hey, you need some threes later? You need a little spark off the bench in terms of maybe somebody comes off the bench, hit some threes for you? Yeah, then I can look at Furkan Korkmaz, and hopefully he'll be able to do that for you. But really, the main thing is Ben Simmons on the block. Tobias Harris brings the ball up every once in a while to help spell to Ben Simmons the trouble of thinking whether or not he can be aggressive. And I wouldn't actually mind to go back to what they went to last year in the playoffs. If Ben Simmons gets a rebound, a defensive rebound, immediate push. If the Hawks go out there and make a basket, I want to see Toby bringing it up. I don't want to see Ben bringing it up at that point. Transition, Ben Simmons. After a made bucket, I just want to see Tobias Harris bring it up. I at this point with Ben Simmons, I'm at a loss for words. Because if he doesn't do that, he'll completely disappear in this offense again. And to look at the numbers that he put up in the fourth quarter over these last 2 games is astounding. It's absolutely astonishing what he has put up, which is 0, by the way, in these last 2 fourth quarters. When your team needed him the most, he didn't step up at all. He disappeared. He ran from the moment. And I can't figure it out for the life of me. I don't get it. If I can't find, I had a note somewhere, and I don't know what I did with it, but I remember it off the top of my head. I was going to try to give it to you verbatim, but here it is. Our friend of the show, Marcus Hayes, wrote a phenomenal article on Inquirer.com, and I suggest at some point today you check it out. And it really does call out how soft the Sixers have been in the two fourth quarters of games 4 and 5. It calls out how soft they were. It calls out how they didn't have they had lack of focus, timid, scared, tight they were in the fourth quarter of these last two games. And it really focuses on Tobias Harris and it focuses on Joel Embiid. But the one saving grace Marcus Hayes throws at both those players is this, and it's probably the biggest indictment of Ben Simmons. The saving grace he throws at Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid is at least they tried. At least they were there to shoot the basketball at the end of the game. At least Tobias Harris, at least he shot a layup at the end of that game. At least he shot a 10-foot jump shot at the end of the game to try to get momentum going back the way of the 76ers. Ben Simmons, where is he? You didn't know where he went. He was gone. Gone. Where is the guy that's going to step up, the $30 million guy that's going to step up to try to help your team win in that fourth quarter? And there's no mistake about it. I mean, when we've talked about this throughout the year, and we talked about it so many different times, when we talk about Ben Simmons, we talk about how lack of foul shooting has affected the rest of his game. If he's not hitting his foul shots, he's not attacking the rim because he doesn't want to go to the line. And we have seen that time and time again with Ben. And you can respect everything else about his game, his defensive capabilities and all that. You can respect all that. But really, what comes down to in the playoffs is that you can do everything. You can shoot. You can have a mid-range. God, that's the thing. It's just the mid-range game. It's just foul shots. We're not looking for him to be another Seth Curry or Steph Curry even. Like, we're not looking for that. We're just looking for a guy that you can at least defer to who can have a mid-range game to help your offense in a time where it's sputtering. We don't say it has to be your number one priority. We're not saying you have to be that 40-point scorer. All we're saying is you have to be an option. And to not be an option, there's no excuse for that whatsoever. And that's what Doc Rivers, going into this offseason, regardless if they win or lose this series, will have to work on with Ben Simmons. And Ben Simmons will have to accept that charge of actually going out there and getting better at it. And I told people this. I know people bring this up all the time. But when you go into the offseason and you see the Ben Simmons shirtless photos of him shooting jumpers and him working out and working on his game and all that, I told you I'm not going to be fooled by that crap. I told you 2 years ago I wasn't going to buy into it. I'm telling you now going into this offseason, I'm not buying into it. So we'll see what happens when this game plays out tonight. But I just have a bad feeling about it. And I don't know how you could have a good feeling after the collapse that you just watched. And it just feels like, to me, this is going to be the type of game, if I have to draw out how it's going to be. I feel like the Hawks are going to get up big early. And I feel like after that, the Sixers are just going to go, we're snake bit. And not that they're snake bit. They brought this all on themselves. It's not like they're just some awful. Like, it's not like they have terrible luck, is what I'm saying. They've put themselves in this position. But the Sixers will start looking at themselves like, oh, this is a shame. I can't believe they let this slip away. We're the number one seed. They'll start sulking, feeling sorry for themselves. And then the next thing you know, the Hawks win by 20. Like, that's how I feel going into the game. We'll see how I feel at tip-off. But right now, and really ever since the Game 5 collapse, that's how I felt about Game 6. That the Hawks are just going to come out. They're going to start knocking down threes. Trae Young's going to be hot at home. And the next thing you know, the Sixers are going to be down, 15 points going, well, this sucks. And then they're going to lose by 20. Like, that's how I feel going into. There'll be a little spurt where they actually start to get something together. But after that, it's not going to look pretty, unfortunately. Here's what I'm rooting for, though. I'm rooting for the idea that the Sixers are still the better team on paper, and they can close out a game, and they can get some big shots from everybody on this roster, and the bench steps up and plays well like they did in Game 3 of this series, in Game 2 of this series, where Shake Milton and the rest of the bench scored, 30, I think it was 24 points of their 32 over a 7-minute span. That's what I'll be rooting for, that they'll come out, they'll understand the urgency and the severity of the moment, and they will handle their business and get back to being a great basketball team. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm rooting for. But I don't know how you can be expecting that after what we've watched recently. I I do want to hit this for you one more time regarding Ben Simmons. We played this for you yesterday. I just want to get to it one more time. Ben Simmons asked after the game, after Game 5, about not being able to hit free throws. And here's the way he explained it when he was asked about not coming up in the clutch, more or less.
And even though you've never been the best free throw shooter, do you feel at this point, your problem is more mental than form?
Definitely, I think mental. We were up, we had it. I think we just gave it to them. We got too comfortable. And didn't play the way we should be playing. Didn't move the ball as much in the second half. Didn't get as many easy shots, and then defensively, too many lapses where we didn't communicate.
I still don't understand for the life of me how you can get too comfortable after you just had an epic collapse. Like that's like the most amazing thing. And a lot of that comes down to coaching. And I always look at players before I look at a coach. And I certainly did that a lot through the Brett Brown era. But as a coach, how do you not have that team mentally prepared? Hey, guys, don't forget you blew that 18-point lead yesterday. You're up 26 tonight. Let's not do that. Let's not get comfortable. Let's keep attacking. Let's keep being aggressive. And that just, you got too comfortable? Got up, you got too comfortable. After an epic collapse. Interesting. Very interesting. Coming up, we're going to go through some numbers with Ben Simmons in our morning rush that just may shock you when it comes to playoff performances of years past. So I look forward to talking to you guys about that coming up in just a second. But right now, I want to tell you about Steven Singer and Steven Singer Jewelers. Finding that person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, it's great. But don't you hate all the pressure that comes next? Of course, there's all the engagement talk, but then there's the pressure of actually shopping for a ring. Hassle, haggling, finding a store to trust, trying to figure out the 4 C's, discount sales, coupon sales, styles, all that other stuff. You don't need that nonsense. What you need to do is go to Steven Singer Jewelers. Steven Singer is absolutely fantastic. Sent a friend of mine there yesterday. He had a great time, came out with something he absolutely loved, and that's why you got to trust Steven Singer or Steven Singer Jewelers. He takes all and every excuse out of the book. Oh, it's so hard to buy a diamond. Oh, it's so much pressure. Oh, no. Steven Singer makes it so easy, and that's why people hate Steven Singer, because he takes away every single excuse. I hate Steven Singer. Steven Singer is a Philly jeweler that has been making it too easy to buy real diamonds for over 4 decades. He specializes in diamond engagement rings and has a staff of real jewelry experts, real jewelers, real people that are there to help you find the perfect ring or gift at the perfect price. No call center, no sales, no haggling, no codes, no discounts. Just the best possible price guaranteed every single day. Check out Steven Singer Jewelers at the other corner of Faith and Walnut right in Philadelphia, or online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's jump on the Zatos Investments guest line and catch up with a good friend, Paul Hudrick. I will tell you this much. Paul spits fire on this subject. So don't miss it. Here it is. Paul Hudrick joining us on the Zatos Investments guest line. Been far too long since we've talked to this gentleman. Joining us right now on the Zatos Investments guest line, my good friend, Mr. Paul Hudrick. What's up, Paulie?
Just living the dream, Mark. How are you, man?
I think I might be slightly better than you because I'm not a Sixers insider. And if you're inside any of this, it kind of sucks right now. Obviously, you're with 97.3. You do Coming In for a Landing podcast as well. And I just got to figure this out, Paul. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. I've had over 48 hours to digest it. What the hell, man? What happened?
I think the Sixers would like to know what actually happened because I still don't know. I'm still as we're sitting here, Mark, I'm still in shock. Right? all along since game 1, I have thought the Sixers are a better team than the Atlanta Hawks. Even now, after they've lost that game, I still feel like from a talent standpoint, this is a better team than the Atlanta Hawks. But, the proof is in the pudding. They haven't been for 3 games. They have not been the better team. And because of that, here we are. They're down 3-2. So, yeah, I'm still pretty stunned by it myself. I have to say, and you and I growing up in this area, we know there have been some shocking, embarrassing, surprising, weird losses. And this is way up there. This is one of the worst I've ever witnessed or been a part of.
It is pretty atrocious. And it's funny you say shocking and you're still kind of shocked. I just did a Farzy in the field bit. I taped it yesterday. And I was walking around, and it was the first time that you could really see emotion. First time in a long time, I should say, where you could really see emotion carrying over into the following afternoon. Like, that's what like, people were still so bothered by it. If somebody was walking around with a Sixers shirt, I was just like, hey, first off, you're brave. I admire the hell out of you for wearing that right now. And second, if you could talk to the Sixers, what would you say right now? And it's like so many people, like, it was a sincere, you broke my heart. Like, and they haven't been eliminated yet. We got to wait till tonight, Friday night, when they actually do that. But I've never seen the emotion carry over for that long, Paul. So you are not alone. And I'm with you as well. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe that Tobias Harris had 4 points. Ben Simmons was 4 of 14 from the free throw line. He had 14 foul shots, and he had 8 points in the game. Are you of the school right now? And here's my question. Are you of the school right now to look at the players more than the coach, or the coach more than the players?
Man, I got to put it on both. I really do, because I mean, you've already touched on it with Ben Simmons. I mean, and I've been a guy who, whether I'm talking to you, whether I've written stuff, whether I've talked to other outlets, like whether it's my own podcast, I have defended Ben Simmons a ton. I really have, and he's making me look bad. I mean, quite frankly, this is brutal. For a guy, this is historic how poor he shot from the free throw line, and that's the crazy thing. Like, take everything else out of it. Like, yes, the offense, it's been really poor for 2 straight second halves. In game 4 and game 5, the offense was just non-existent. The only 2 guys that hit a field goal in game 5 in the second half, Joel Embiid and Seth Curry. Take Tobias Harris out of the equation for a second, him only scoring 4 points. If Ben Simmons is just his normal self at the free throw line, he is a 60% career free throw shooter. If he is just normal, they might have already won this series. So to me, like, the fact that we're here, he is shooting free throws at an historically poor rate. I think it was from Stat News, where this would be the second worst percentage-wise free throw shooting postseason of any player ever, behind Ben Wallace. When Detroit was kind of going through their run. So it's mind-blowing, because even like the biggest of Ben Simmons detractors could not have seen this to this level. And Mark, if you're shooting 60% from the free throw line, teams aren't purposely fouling you to put you there. Like, that's not a part of a defensive strategy to make that happen.
Right.
So it's just, I can't believe how poorly he has done from the free throw line. And Doc Rivers tried to tell us, I don't think it's bleeding into other parts of his game. Mark, how can it not?
Yeah, really.
When you're shooting that poorly from the free throw line, when you have the ball in a regular offensive set, how can that not creep into your mind, how poorly you've done and how much quite frankly, have hurt the team by not hitting shots? And, you touch on Doc, how much is the players? How much is the coach? It's Doc Rivers too. I mean, 2 games in a row, the offense was putrid. I mean, not moving the basketball, not playing with pace, all of these things that he preaches, and they haven't done for 2 straight games. And then on top of that, his lineups, like, we all joked about the all bench lineups and when they would end, and I really thought they would end in the postseason. And even this all bench plus Tobias lineup, it's not good enough. He's got to stagger more. He's got to incorporate more of the stars. I get the starting lineup is very good. You want to keep them together, but you have to stagger. Like in game 6, it's got to be, the 4 main starters playing 40 plus minutes and 2 of them always being on the floor. You can't win any other way.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you mentioned Tobias Harris. I don't give anybody a pass ever, but there's definitely a ranking system for my pissed offness and who gets the most of it. Tobias was more towards the bottom of the list than he was the top, because he's been your most consistent player. And he was almost, and I hate this expression, but it was like he was almost due for a complete clunker. I can look at Tobias Harris and say, all right, you know what? That's your one game. It's not the game to do it, but that's your one game. But if you know he doesn't have it for the entire game, that's when Ben's got to step up. That's when Joel Embiid just has to put everybody on his back when he knows Ben's not going to be the one to step up and still take over. Seth Curry, by some act of God, was incredible in that game for the vast majority of it, but it was him and Joe carrying this team in the second half. When you look at Tobias Harris, do you see an injury problem? Do you see just a bad game? What did you see? Why was he so unproductive in Game 5?
I mean, I see a bad 6 quarters, Mark, because it's not just Game 5. It was going back to Game 4. He wasn't good in the second half of Game 4 either. And I saw a hesitancy that to me, it was alarming. A couple plays where shots that he has hit, to your point, all season long, where he has been, he joked about it during the season where Philadelphia fans, they were ready to run him out of town. They would have gladly driven him to the airport after last season and how poor he was in that Celtics series. And he had a hell of a year. Give him a ton of credit. He changed his game. He improved a lot of things, did a lot of things better. In the first round against the Wizards, he was spectacular. Even through 3 games in this series, he was very good. I do not know what has happened to him over the last 6 quarters. It's just there's this weird hesitancy, and we all have kind of talked about them choking, and there's just like no other way to put it. They choked. I mean, they flat out the last 2 games have choked, and Tobias Harris is a big part of that. Mark, and I don't love to bring this up. I'm not the guy who always says this kind of thing, but he signed the richest contract in Sixers franchise history. You cannot score 4 points in a playoff game, in a pivotal playoff game, 2-2 at home. That can't happen. So, like, you talk about, like, your level of pissed offness. I'll call it my level of just flat out blame. And him and Ben Simmons are, like, neck and neck for me. I mean, that's, for both of them, the way they have played the last 6 quarters, that cannot happen. And I think it's cyclical. I think it's both of them. I think it's when Tobias Harris is scoring, it allows Ben Simmons to take on more of that facilitator role and not put pressure on him to score. When Tobias Harris isn't scoring, it exacerbates Ben Simmons' weaknesses. And I think those two together, it's been a poor mix over the last 6 quarters. So we'll see what happens going forward. Let's see if they figure some things out. But, man, it's really discouraging stuff from both of them.
Well, first off, you're preaching brilliance, my friend. You're preaching brilliance. I just want to make sure you know that. Second, when we do look at Ben Simmons, and I know a lot of people they have him on the trade block right now. I know a lot of people already had him on the trade block. I don't want to say how justified is it, because I know people are pissed off no matter what, so that justifies it. But how legitimate is it? If they can't turn this around, he was already on the trading block once, according to multiple reports, for James Harden. How much do you think Daryl Morey or Doc Rivers will be looking to move on from Ben Simmons if he can't turn this around offensively?
I think it is like the grayest of it. Like it is not black and white. It is a lot of gray area for this. Now, like you mentioned, could they win Game 6, force Game 7 at home in Philadelphia? That can still happen. I don't feel super confident in that happening, because it's a lot of emotional recovery and psychological recovery they're going to have to do over this loss. Could they do that and perhaps force a Game 7 and then, again, a Game 7 on their floor? Sure. But, if from what we've seen, if this goes south and they do not win this series, you have to consider, like, there has to be a shakeup. You can't go into next season with this roster. And I think the big issue, Mark, and I wrote about it on 97.3, ESPN.com, is you have 3 max or near max players in Embiid, in Simmons, and Harris. None of them are shot creators. That's not what they do. They are very good at other things. They are special in their own ways in what they do, but they are not perimeter shot creators. They are not a Bradley Beal or a Dame Lillard or Steph Curry, whatever. Take your pick of those kind of guys.
Right.
So can you win when you don't have one of those guys? I don't know that you can. And then in order to get one of those guys, you probably have to move on from a Ben Simmons or a Tobias Harris. So it's going to be a really tricky, I don't think it's crazy to think that Ben Simmons could be on the block again if a player of James Harden, like if Portland decides or Dame Lillard decides, I don't want to be in Portland anymore. Daryl Morey would be crazy to not be on the phone with Neil Olshey tomorrow and hey, what will it take to get Dame in Philadelphia? And if Ben Simmons is part of that, of course you entertain that. But the notion that like you should give Ben Simmons away or, kind of trade him right now at his lowest just to do it, I think is silly. But if you can get again, name a guy, Dame Lillard, Bradley Beal, perhaps Zach LaVine. I think that's on the border for me of whether or not I would do that. But a guy like that would change the dynamic, that would add a shot creator, I think you have to entertain that, because I think that's just the one thing that's missing. And look, you look at like what Atlanta did last night. Lou Williams, they dust him off. He goes nuts in the fourth quarter, and he's just a guy who can create his own shot. He's 34 years old, but he can do that. And the Sixers don't have any right now reliable player. They have guys who could do it in spurts, but not anybody reliable like that has done it throughout their entire career, like Lou Williams. They can just turn to and say, hey, go get me a bucket. They do not have that. And I think that's been a glaring hole so far.
I agree with everything. Let me ask you this. Going into Game 6 then, is there one adjustment you would like to see? Maybe Ben down in the post more. Maybe, as we saw through little spurts of the season, Tobias Harris runs more of a facilitator role, and Ben goes down low, like I said. Is there another adjustment? Is it Matisse Thybulle in the starting lineup? Is there another adjustment that you would like to see from Doc Rivers going into Game 6?
There's a lot of things, if I'm being honest.
I got as much time as you do, buddy.
No, so you touched on a couple of them. I wouldn't put Furkan Korkmaz in the starting lineup. With all due respect to Furkan Korkmaz, I don't think he should be playing 30 minutes for a playoff team that's trying to reach the Eastern Conference Finals. And that's not to say that he can't be a useful player or he can't help you, but I'm not playing him 30 minutes. That can't happen. I would be playing Furkan Korkmaz, Matisse Thybulle, whether he starts, whether he comes off the bench. He's got to be the guy who plays those bigger minutes, who plays like 30 or so minutes. I get he's not a floor spacer. He's not an offensive player. But I think, if anything, maybe you turn some defense into offense. You get on the break. You run a little bit. So maybe Matisse Thybulle enters the starting lineup. Maybe that's one thing you do. I think that's definitely up there. This is one thing that might, some people might be caught off guard by it, but I think it has to happen. I wouldn't play Dwight Howard in Game 6. I really wouldn't. I would put Ben Simmons as my backup 5. And I would run a backup unit where it's Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and 3 of the reserve guards. Name the guys you want, whether it's Thybulle, whether it's George Hill, whether it's Shake, whether it's Furkan, whatever. And I think that could benefit Ben Simmons, because I think you get out and run. You just tell Ben Simmons, run. Every time you touch the basketball, go down the other end as fast as you can. And I think that helps Tobias Harris out, because Tobias Harris is a player who's very good in transition. You become very switchable on defense. And let's be realistic. The Hawks, Clint Capella is actually a pretty good center. Yeah, Joel Embiid is a much better player. But when you're talking about who the Hawks can bring in as their backup 5, there's nobody that scares me to the point where I don't feel comfortable putting Ben Simmons at the 5. And also, Ben Simmons gives you the things that Dwight Howard theoretically gives you. He's a screen. He can screen. He can roll. He can get offensive rebounds. And in addition to that, he's a very good passer. And like you said, Marc, he can play out of the post, maybe run some offense through him, either as a passer or as a scorer. So, the biggest adjustments I would make are I wouldn't have Furkan Korkmaz in my starting lineup, and I would have Ben Simmons in my backup 5. I would not play Dwight Howard, because I just don't think and you saw what happened with Dwight Howard and the Lakers last year. And I don't mean to demean, his impact this season, because he's been very good. He's helped them out a lot. But I think in Game 6, I think you got to go away from him. I don't think he's the answer at the backup 5. Maybe down the road, but in this series, I do not think so.
All right. Well, then the obvious question is, when does Ben Simmons get spelled? Does he get on the bench at all? And if so, who's coming in then?
Yeah, he's going to have to play like
48 minutes. If Kevin Durant can do it, if Kevin Durant can do it, then there's no reason Ben Simmons can't do it.
24-year-old Ben Simmons, who always prides himself on being able to play big minutes. Yeah, Ben's going to have to play 40 to 45 minutes. I'm not even exaggerating. I really do think
it's must win.
He's going to have to play a ton of minutes. So, I think he's barely going to leave the floor. And if you're Doc Rivers, I think you have to do that. You can't go 11 guys or 10 guys, I guess now. You can't go 10 guys. You can't do it. It's got to be 8 or maybe 9. Mm-hmm. You can't go 10 guys. You can't extend it that far. It's your backs are against the wall. You have to win this game. So, like I said, those 4 main guys, Curry, Embiid, Simmons, Harris, they have to play 40+ minutes, and they have to produce. And then whoever they bring off the bench, in their limited roles, they have to produce as well.
Is this series coming back to Philadelphia?
I'm not confident. I'm not confident that it's just. I'm just not. Could they? Could they? Sure. Because
of course, yeah.
Because listen, and I think there's there's reasonable reason to think it can. It's not just me saying like, oh, sure, like anything can happen. Like, no, like it's reasonable because they've won a game in Atlanta already pretty easily, as a matter of fact, in game 3. They should have won game 4 in Atlanta. And I think throughout times of the series, they have proven to be the more talented team. They just had these crazy lulls where they just have let Atlanta go on these runs. And it's just been very like, I just think with the talent they have, yes, they can do it. Can they emotionally, psychologically get over that, epic collapse they just had? I don't know. I don't know if they're mentally tough enough to do it. And I think that's where Doc Rivers is going to have to earn his money. Doc Rivers is going to have this team ready for game 6 in a really difficult environment, in a really difficult situation.
I agree. So you think they're coming back?
If I were a betting man,
if you were a betting man, you would bet against it. Okay.
I would bet against it. I would, just because, like I said, that when you're coming off a loss like that was so bad and so emotionally bad. And I mean, Joel Embiid didn't even talk to us after the game. Ben Simmons was honestly more down than I've ever seen him in the entire time I've covered him. I've never seen him look and sound more somber and just searching for answers and seemingly like he doesn't have any. So I would not. If I were a betting man, I would not be betting on the Sixers, quite frankly.
I ain't feeling it.
I hope I'm wrong.
Hey, look, this is how often do we root to be wrong in this industry? No, Paul Hudrick, I'm with you, my friend. I can't thank you enough. Oh, last thing for you, how's the little lady?
She's good? Great. Everything's good, man. We're in that fun nesting stage where I just have to, everything's got to get done. We got to get our kitchen done. We got to get our, we just got a fence put up. We got to get a shed put up. It's great. It's
when's the due date?
December 4th.
Ooh, all right. You got some time.
No, we don't, Mark. We don't have any damn time.
I know it goes by so fast. Forget about it. Paul Hudrick, 97.3 ESPN, as well as Coming In for a Landing podcast. Make sure you always check his stuff out. Paulie, thank you so much, my friend.
Anytime, Mark. You got it, man.
Paul Hudrick joining us on the Zatos Investments guest line. I do love me some Paul Hudrick, and one of the best comments ever commented just got commented. And it has to do with Paul. We'll get to that in our social media check-in. Look, the Dwight Howard thing, I don't see. That's Paul's take. I don't see that. I am the guy that always says Ben Simmons can play 48 minutes every night. He can play 100 games a season and all that. But no Dwight, no dice, basically. Matisse Thybulle, I'm with Matisse Thybulle in the starting 5. I said that 2 days ago. I'm definitely about having Tobias Harris maybe run a little bit of the facilitator role and Ben Simmons going down the block. But the one thing that I'll disagree with Paul on is that I don't like the idea of Dwight Howard not playing in this game. Yeah, somebody's really got to spell both the players, to be honest with you. And I don't know if I want 48 minutes of Ben Simmons. Maybe 35 minutes. I know what I don't want. I don't want Ben Simmons the last 5 minutes of either half. So we'll work that out. So 38 minutes. Maybe we'll work it out like that. Coming up, I'm going to hit some fine sponsorships for you. And then we're going to do our social media check-in. And then we're going to go out and do a little Farzy in the field for y'all's people. So we'll have a good time with that. Let me tell you about DraftKings and DraftKings Sportsbook. I took last night off. Took it off last night. I'll be back in the business tonight. Sixers, last I saw, is -6.5. Going into Atlanta, they are favored somehow. So we'll continue to follow that. But I'm probably going to end up betting the Sixers anyway, just to say I did. DraftKings Sportsbook is who I'll do that with, of course, America's top-rated sportsbook app. I love DraftKings Sportsbook. It's so much fun and easy to navigate, and plenty of instructions for new gamblers such as myself. Near limitless ways to get in on all the action. I told you how I like to bet balls and strikes. That's a good time. You know what I like? Instant gratification, and that's what that does for you. My friends and family also love using DraftKings Sportsbook, and I know you will too, because you can also listen to this great offer. DraftKings Sportsbook putting you courtside with a chance to turn $1 into $100 in site credits. If you just pick a basketball team, any basketball team, still in contention, and you bet $1 on them to win, and if they win, you win $100 in site credits. Turn $1 into $100 in site credits. Don't forget, DraftKings Sportsbook also offers great odds and promotions on baseball and hockey and so much more all week long. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy. It's right there for you. Promo code Farzy. When you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free site credits. Bet on a basketball team of your choice to win their next game, and if they do, you'll claim $100 in site credits. That's promo code Farzy for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, present in Pennsylvania, new customers only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. How about our friends at Steak and Maine and SteakandMaine.com? Fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you like to dine in a more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that. You know another thing about the sushi there? They don't give you like a little thing of the soy sauce. I like a lot of the soy sauce, right? So they give you the whole thing of it. Like that, they give you this John. They don't give you like a packet. They give you this John. Delectable. And also a world-class oyster bar, as I mentioned. All that and an extensive wine list, including their own Cavada Cellars wines. It is fantastic. Every day they're open for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Sign up or go to their Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland. Voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself. Go to steakandmaine.com for more information. We also have our friends at phlsportsnation.com. That's right. You can check them out over at Philadelphia Sports Nation, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. phlsportsnation.com, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. Thank you for the challenges last night on the FanUp app, people. I really enjoyed that. D. Schwartz, Danny boy, appreciate you. Make sure you download the FanUp app in the App Store and use promo code FanUp to get 2,000 bonus points just to start you off. That's promo code FanUp on the FanUp app. It almost makes too much sense, ladies and gentlemen. Issue challenges to your friends. Rise on the leaderboard. Answer fun questions because the days of playing fantasy sports alone are over. Thanks to FanUp. Just be fans with the FanUp app. It is a good time. You can win great brand prizes. Fill out your profile. It's a great time, man. So make sure you download the FanUp app at the App Store and use promo code FanUp for 2,000 bonus points right out of the gate. FanUp. Let's just be fans, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Without further ado, I want to jump on the jump into our comment section here, brought to you by our good friends at Steak and Maine and SteakandMaine.com. They bring us our social media check-in. Farzy definitely eats. Right. I heard that Marc was hip-hop. This is interesting. We're off to a great start. Scoozy. Here's what I saw earlier in the day about Paul Hudrick, and I think it's the best thing ever said in our comment section. Paul Hudrick has a different look every time he's on the show. And he absolutely does. Whoever noticed that, credit to you. And I will find you. Kevin Smith, thank you very much. Paul's got a different look every time he's on the show. He absolutely does. He had the man bun going for himself. He had the backwards hat. Then he had the glasses. And then the Philly John shirt. Yeah, Paulie's got a different look every single time. What else do we have? Exclusive with Spader. How about that with our boy Ryan Spader? Apologized for putting all that out there. He said he shouldn't have done it. Called his claims unfounded. When I asked him about the Utley thing, and I said, how is he cheating? And he goes, he cheated. What was the words he used? He cheated in a way that he cheated the best way, like the best possible way, like within the guidelines. And I'm like, well, that's not cheating. Then he bent the rules without breaking them. Like I would expect that from Chase Utley. The analogy the speculation I had was that he was a guy that was standing on second base as a base runner, and he was doing something to relay that it was a fastball or it was a breaking ball or what it might have been. And hey, look, you're not supposed to do that. That's against the unwritten rules of baseball. But if you can find an edge for your team, you're going to find an edge for your team any way, shape, or form. I mean, this is a guy, I brought this up before, the stories about Chase Utley borrowing the Bat Boy's jacket so he could run out to the umpire to argue a case for his pitcher. Like, you're not supposed to do that, but he find a way. And that's what Chase Utley did every single time. It's T-Bro. What's up, brother? Saying, it's the Catalina wine mixer. All the stepbrother references, I'm all for. Everyone should know that. All the stepbrother. Morning Negadelphians from Jacob. Are we Negadelphians or are we real Adelphians? Negadelphians or real Adelphians? Phillies. No, sorry. Anyway, no, leave Korkmaz at home. Mally, I'm with you, and good morning to you. Farzetta, be straight with us. You've been have I been lifting? What's up, Jacob? I started lifting a while ago, and like lifting, like I don't go through a routine. I basically I got tired of doing push-ups because that's too much energy. So I have a weight bench down here, and I just kind of use that every once in a while. It's nothing worth bragging about. I did go from like repping 135 to like 185. So there's that. Anyway, I figure if I build up here, people won't notice down here as much. Mark, if you had a weather girl explaining it, it'd be more interesting. Come on, Mally. All right. Who can I get to be a weather girl that would appease you people? I feel like if I publicly chastised Mike Sealski and if I got a weather girl, that would please most people in the comment section. Anyway, Mally, I'm done being lied to. Luigi's checking in. I met a Luigi yesterday. Grand Cafe Lockwheel in Center City. I love that spot. There's a guy Luigi there from Naples, as a matter of fact. So Luigi, I met your namesake. I promise you, I will get you guys a weather girl. Don Vito's checking in. Farzy looks fit AF. I appreciate it. I'm not. That much I guarantee you. I played golf a couple of weeks ago, and I got winded. All right? So, no, I'm not that fit. My apologies, Jacob, from Dan. Sixers got me feeling fat, ugly, uneducated. Dan, you're a horrible human being, but I love you. You know that. Yeah, a lot of people feeling weird. And I saw Dan post this earlier, that he's feeling indifferent towards tonight's basketball game. The last I checked, I can't believe it. The last I checked, the poll question today was actually a hell of a lot more confident than I expected. Here it is right now. 21% of you think just flat out the Sixers will win this game. 33% of you think the Sixers will win the series. So at least for tonight's game, you're looking at 54% of you think that they're going to win tonight. And then 46% say no. Yeah, I was optimistic, saying that 60 to 65% of you would think they'd actually win tonight. That was slightly optimistic, to say the least there, but I appreciate everybody checking in. Want to get one more comment or two. Fitness special, definitely not happen. Weather girl equals Mark's freaky cousin. T-Bro! Wow! That's bringing it back, my friend. Good hustle to you. I saw that family, that side of my family a couple of weeks back. It was our first non-COVID event. And I thought my cousins knew that I talked about their sister as the freaky cousin, and they didn't. I honestly thought I had told them that I got a lot of radio content out of that. And it wasn't even by my own accord. But they thought it was hilarious. They absolutely thought it was hilarious. And the bride that was at that wedding, I'll tell that story for another day for the people that missed it. But the bride that was the bride of that wedding was still appalled when I referenced the story. But anyway, thanks everybody that checked in on our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. Thomas did ask, did I walk the course when I got winded? No, I did not. So there you go. I was in the midst of walking, and there were a lot of hills. Still no excuse. Thanks everyone that checked in there on social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. You know what? Let's hear from some more people, as we like to do once every week, with our Farzy in the Field feature, brought to you by the great people of FanUp. Download the FanUp app in the App Store and get 2,000 bonus points right out of the gate to get you started. Issue challenges to your friends. Download the FanUp app. Just be fans. Without further ado, I headed into the Center City to ask this question. If you could talk to the 76ers ahead of Game 6, what would you tell them? And here's what the good people of Philadelphia told me. Here you go. Farzy in the Field this week. If you could say one thing to the 76ers before Game 6 in Atlanta, what would you say?
Once we get a lead, we got to keep it.
A lot of y'all going to be out of a job next year, man, but good luck.
Show some heart. You need to win the next 2 games because the fans that came out last night, including me, it was just embarrassing. It was a tease to see such a great performance, and then you followed up with just a poor fourth quarter. It just shows no heart.
You broke my heart, but I still love y'all, and I'm still rapping.
Tobias Harris, I don't know why you had 4 points. I never saw you do that before, even on Clippers.
All right, here with my new friend, Gavin. Gavin, first off, love the AI jersey. Were you born when they were wearing that jersey?
No.
Respect. Respect, buddy. Respect. All right, if you could go in the Sixers locker room right now and say one thing to the Sixers, what would you say?
Probably improve on free throws due to how the Hawks were fouling Simmons, Embiid, and all those other guys to get to the free throw line, and how they missed all the free throws in clutch time. I feel like they can improve on that.
All right, how old are you, Gavin?
9 years old.
9 years old. How do you know you have to hit free throws and Ben Simmons doesn't? All right, if you were in the Sixers locker room right now, what would you tell the team?
Y'all gotta get it together. Y'all disappointed everybody. I walked out. Y'all is a dime. Y'all gotta get it together.
We got another opinion right here. All right, if you could say one thing to the 76ers, what would it be?
Win, win, win. Don't lose, lose, lose.
That's
you
it.
give us the blues, blues, blues.
There we go. There we go. It's just that simple. Why don't people follow that advice?
That's it.
Do you think they will win Game 6 in Atlanta?
Of course they will.
Oh, look at that.
Of course they will. I have faith in them. But again, they broke my heart last night. We were not supposed to lose that game yesterday.
Part of me wants them to lose. They deserve to lose. This franchise deserves to burn down.
No.
But
You're not a Knicks fan, are you?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
90% of me wants them to win, but the other 10% just knows it's the end.
I'll say they can pull it off in Game 6. I'll say Sixers 114, 107.
Ben Simmons, if you're listening, can you please stop focusing on Hollywood chicks and video games, and please improve your free throw shooting to 60%.
First off, Gavin needs to be hired as a coach. Nothing warms my heart more than seeing a kid that's way too young for the jersey he's wearing wear that jersey. I'll never forget being at the Eagles parade and seeing probably an 8-9-year-old kid, whatever, wearing a number 60 Eagles jersey for Chuck Bednarik. And I'm like, that's what you call not good parenting, great grandparenting. That's what you call that. And to see Gavin rocking that jersey right there with AI is just nothing short of spectacular, as I like to say. And Gavin, there you go, 114 to 106. 114 to 107 was Gavin's prediction. I'll be keeping an eye on that, and hopefully they actually win that. But I do like the idea of a guy just completely, you broke my heart, you killed me, you hurt me so much, and he's still wearing the 76ers shirt that day. And on top of that, he's still picking him to win Game 6. That is beautiful. I love that. But I always say, and when I told you I was out running errands yesterday, I talked to that nice lady, and she didn't know that the Sixers lost. She was heartbroken. She was like, how do I even watch the rest of it? And then somebody else that worked there was like, I want them to lose now. It was like two people, including the one person you saw right there in Farzy the field. Two people yesterday, it was just like, you know what? I just want them to lose now. Because if they can't protect those two leads in back-to-back games, they don't deserve to win. I love that. And that feeds right into the analogy I always make when it comes to nurturing mothers and strict fathers. Most sports cities are nurturing mothers. Oh, you lost today? It's okay. Here's a juice box and an orange peel. Like that kind of thing. And then we're in Philadelphia. We're definitely more of the strict father. Staring down our kid for not hustling or something like that. You know, you have my name on the back of your jersey. Like that kind of thing. Anyway, thanks to everyone that participated in Farzy in the field. Good times had by all. Dan wants to know if Gavin can get Ben to shoot. I don't know. Maybe give it a shot. Why not? Tim's repeating a line from one of our Farzy in the field participants. Stop focusing on Hollywood chicks. We have fun. That is for sure. That was Farzy in the field, brought to you by FanUp and the FanUp app. Let's jump into our Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. First off, friendly reminder, Phillies Giants tonight are on Hell. Peacock, for the people that didn't get that. Okay. Bucks and Nets. First off, it was an incredible game going into the fourth quarter. James Harden looked better, but still wasn't great. Far from himself. That series going back to Brooklyn for a Game 7. I don't like without more. Like I have to expect that the Nets are going to win that series. being that obviously Game 7's at home. But, man, I did not expect that series to go Game 7. Obviously, there's injury factors that have played into this. But, oh, my goodness gracious. Game 7 in Brooklyn. The Nets have to win that game, right? Like, the Nets are I don't mean they have to win. The Nets are going to win that game. Like, it doesn't make sense because Milwaukee right now, as they're constructed, is obviously the better team, and James Harden isn't himself. Jeff Green's not going to have another performance like he had in Game 5. So, like the Bucks are going to win, or the Nets are going to win, right? It's not going to make sense, but it's like, how do you bet against Kevin Durant, especially at home, Game 7, with the performance you saw with their last home game? How do you bet against them? So I would pick the Nets to be able to win that series outright, if you will. Here's what I teased earlier: Ben Simmons free throws. Tell me if you notice a trend here. Let's look at the last 3 years of playoff basketball for Ben Simmons. And keep in mind, he didn't play last year in the postseason. Ben Simmons shot 70% from the free throw line his rookie year. His field goal percentage was 49. Shot 49%. So he was attacking the rim, as we know. And he attempted 12 two-point shots. All right. So he attempted 12 shots a game. Let's just say that to make it easy. 12 shots a game. Then he attempted 9, and then he attempted 8. So that's a regression, if you will. All right. That's a decline, if you will. Free throw percentage, 70%, 57% to this year's 33%. What? And he's working on it? He's got to knock him down? I'm blown away to see how high these numbers were 3 years ago and how low they are now. He is shrinking more and more in the moment. And looking at these numbers, it really brings to mind that we have watched Joel Embiid go from a guy that was still trying to find his way in the NBA, still very much trying to learn basketball. Like, you knew the tools were there. He just needed to put it together. We've seen him put it together. He has gotten better. We have seen him work his way to the second most valuable player in the NBA by voting standards, right? I think he's the most valuable, but the second most valuable player in the NBA. Ben Simmons came into the league a pretty damn good defender. Ben Simmons came into the league overall a pretty damn good player. What has he improved upon? I'll tell you this, when it matters most, he has gotten worse. Going from 70% his rookie year to 33% now. Going from 12 shots a game now to 8.5 shots a game, averaging. And by the way, 10 games his rookie year in the playoffs, 12 games his sophomore year in the NBA. And then this year, 10 games so far all the way through. He has just gone down pretty much in every... Oh, you know what? Field goal percentage. I guess because he's shooting less, his field goal percentage has gone up. So there's that. I'm beside myself. Absolutely beside myself. Points per game has obviously gone down 16.3 to 13.9 to 13.2, but unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Well, no, it is believable because we all watch it. What else did I have for you here? The Sixers in 4 jersey. Sorry, the Suns in 4 guy that beat the crap out of that Utah Jazz fan, or Denver Nuggets fan. That guy got a free pair of tickets and a free jersey from Devin Booker. I saw somebody actually made an action figure out of him. I hope that's real. But this caused a lot of controversy because then it's like, are you promoting fighting in the arena? And I get that because you shouldn't fight. However, in this particular case, this guy, like, it looked like the 2 Nuggets fans were going to walk away and they were done with it. And they were just talking trash back and forth. And then the one guy started attacking the Suns in 4 guy. And then he was like, all right, game on. Like, what are you supposed to do in that situation if somebody attacks you? And by the way, the other thing, I haven't even commented on this with you guys yet, but how do you just, if someone's wailing on you and then they stop, how do you stay down there? Like, wouldn't you, like, get up and run if you know you're being completely outmatched? Unbelievable. And where was that guy's buddy? Get involved. Anyway, so that's that. And this is just for me, totally selfish. Does anyone watch the Euro? Is anyone like me here where you don't get too much into domestic soccer, but you like the international game? Is anybody like me in this regard? Like, I'll watch the Union and I'll catch Union and I'll follow them, right? Because it's Philadelphia. But I don't like look at the rest. Like, if I am mostly a Flyers fan but not a hockey fan, Most people in this area are. Like, you'll follow the Flyers, but you have no idea what's going on outside of that. Like, I'm like that with the Union to like 10 degrees more, like 10 times that amount. But with like football and not soccer, if you catch my drift there, I do get into the Euro. I do get into the CONCACAF, and I certainly get into the World Cup. Italy is 2-0. That's the team I root for in the Euro. And they're the most aggressive Italian team I've ever seen, tell you that much. So I'm looking forward to watching more of them, hopefully on Father's Day come Sunday. But that's what I got for you in our Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Big bets segment. Let me get you the official. I told you the last I checked, the Sixers were at -6.5 going into tonight's game. So they're favored on the ROAD going up against the -3 now. -3. That seems like a lot, so I probably looked at it wrong earlier. -3, Sixers going into tonight's game. I'm betting them. Better team, backs against the wall. I'm doing it. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to throw a couple of bucks on the Sixers tonight. To hell with it. All right, I got to make some money back on them somehow. So that's terrible logic, but that's what I'm doing tonight. So that's the big bet I'll be making, and I'm going to do it one more time. And I'm not one to believe in jinxes, but I'm also going to bet one more time on Joel Embiid double and a win tonight. That's what I'm going to do going into tonight's game. Player. Let me see if I can get point total for you for Joel Embiid. See if I can get that going into tonight's game. Joel Embiid's over under 33.5. That seems a little high for me after what we've seen in the fourth quarter collapses. But 33.5, a little rich for my blood, but I'll at least go for double and a win for the Sixers tonight. So hopefully they do that, and hopefully we all feel like we're better people. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And you know what, everybody? To all the fathers out there, have a great Father's Day. I'm going to go out there, hopefully not get winded, but I'm going to go out there and play some golf with my father, and it's something I look forward to every single year. I love my pop, Joe Farzetta, did a hell of a job with my brother and I. And hopefully you guys get to enjoy your fathers, and people that are fathers yourselves, hopefully you get to enjoy your day. I stopped celebrating my birthday a long time ago, just because. But Father's Day is certainly a day I celebrate. It's an awesome day, and it's my favorite day of the year. Actually, Christmas Eve, Seven Fish, and then Father's Day. So that's where they rank. But thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. To all the fathers, happy Father's Day to you. And to all your fathers, happy Father's Day from the Farzy Show. My thanks to Jim Hyden for producing the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. My name is Marc Farzetta from the Steven Sager Studios. Let's go 76ers. Let's get at least another game to talk about. Have a great day, everybody. Take it easy.